Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Ward Powell. And if you're a dentist looking to crack the code on how to grow your practice and dominate in this space, then stick around. You're in the right place. Every week, we're sitting down with some amazing dentists who are doing incredible things in their businesses. We're talking about everything from how they keep their teams loyal and dedicated to how they stay ahead of the game in this crazy, fast-changing industry. You'll hear about hacks like using virtual assistants to free up your time, strategies to make more sales with less effort, and even mind-blowing stories about patents and inventions that are changing the industry as we know it. And it's not just about growing your practice, it's also about finding out what works from a clinical perspective. Whether you're just starting or you're ready to scale to the next level, there's something here for you. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in. I would like to welcome Dr. Julia Jackson to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Mr. Powell. Thank you very much for inviting me to this wonderful occasion. I can't wait to speak to your listeners about how dentists make money, keep money, and grow money.
Awesome. We want to hear it. First of all, we want to find out what inspired you to get involved with dentistry in the first place.
It's probably started in when I was a youngster, even high school. My dad's electrical engineer. He liked to fix things and make things and put things together. And he had a crafty sense to him about making sure that if we took it apart, we needed to be able to put each of the pieces back together the way that we had found them. And my job as second assistant was to remember how did it look before we started. By the time it was all open, a vacuum, a toaster, one of those cassette players, anything we were taking apart. Dad, don't forget that screw goes here first, and there's a little button that's going to touch on the next part. So I think that kind of craftiness really kind of got me involved with working with my hands and a love for fixing and making things. And my father was also a tennis player. And coincidentally, his tennis partner was Dr. Franklin Scott. And Dr. Scott's an oral surgeon. So Dad knew, that's a lifestyle that would have been accommodating. It's an educational track that would lead you to a professional status. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, you get to work with your hands. So it was kind of already in my mind, especially through college and starting in high school. Find something that you can do to be crafty.
Wow.
At first, I finished college in 2001. I'm a psychology major, and I took my pre-med prerequisites, which is to prepare for any kind of schooling that would involve medical or dental training. And then from there, I got into Temple Dental, which was back home. I'm from Philadelphia, so it was good to be home. And in Temple Dental, I kind of got a little run around. They would say things like, well, why don't you go to peds, or why don't you consider making some more dentures, or just whatever they could do to just kind of move me away from my path of becoming oral surgeon. And I finished Temple Dental in 2005, and I got into an oral surgery residency program, which was a 1-year program. And then I did a second 1-year program, and then I did the 4-year program. So I've always been committed, dedicated, and persistent to become an oral and maxillofacial surgeon.
Oh, that is so wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. So what's your connection to the implantology pathway?
Oh, yeah.
What's your connection
So, exactly, my friend. I'm glad you asked me. Right. Yeah. So what happened is I've been in private practice for about 13 years. I like to say over a decade, because that makes it seem like it's been a million years, but 13 strong years. And in April, I decided to take a step back. I'm going not necessarily back, but let's just say a step away from private practice to further explore how could I teach general dentists how to place implants? How can I teach them how to graft sockets? How can I teach them not just how to restore implants because they're placed, because they know how to restore them, but how can I teach them just different surgical techniques to make them better and more effective? Because they were all referring patients to me, but I could see these things weren't that tricky. You should leave special procedures for specialists. But tooth number 12, you loosen the tooth. We were planning on restoring the implant. I just really thought, why can't we teach them? And I didn't exactly want to go to the university. I want them to know that things are at your fingertips and how to quickly respond on your feet. So if you can't join a university, why don't you start International Implant Institute? Kind of just bubbled up. I have an associate. His name is Dr. Yuvan Anarobi. He's a prosthodontist. So, and it's a 5-day course. It's packed. I love it.
Tell me again about you starting your International Implant Institute.
International Implant Institute is located in Manassas, Virginia. It's located in oral surgeon's office. It gives students the kind of put their finger on the pulse of oral and surgery. So perhaps we may be teaching about socket grafting, and then if the oral surgeon has a case that seems to be interesting, maybe an internal lift or an immediate implant placement, we can step outside of the classroom, go and observe the case, really get that kind of immersion of oral and maxillofacial surgery at the International Implant Institute. In addition, one of the 5 days, the students receive CPR training. They'll get an ACLS, BLS, and PALS training. And last but not least, they also get a tour for a dental lab so that they can see cutting edge technology, such as this day and age, as opposed to taking impressions and pouring up models and then having it sent to the lab and now you see a crown. We have technology that will allow for intraoral scanning, which will then become a digital workflow, which then leads to how they mill and make crowns. So there's a lot of technologies that are new, cutting edge, and budding that we want to bring to the attention of International Implant Institute participants.
That's awesome. Now, can you tie in again your connection with Pathway, because we kind of missed that as well. Can you tie that in?
Yes, there was a point in time when I was an implant pathway mentor. I was the only oral and maxillofacial surgeon mentor who was doing clinical. There's another mentor who only does didactic. So I would fly in to Arizona. Usually the pathway course is about a week. So I would arrive on Wednesday night. And then for Thursday and Friday, that's when we got to treat patients. So when I was a mentor at Implant Pathway, I would help the students do all on 4 cases, work them up, treatment planning, strategizing, kind of thinking about how we're going to do this before we even start. And then we would get the patients in the chairs and we would implement what we had planned. Implant Pathway is like a think tank. It's general dentists who are as persistent about oral surgery as I was. And I really loved the environment. It was great, great opportunity.
How long were you there?
I've been there for 2 years, actually, as a mentor.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, wow. That's, man, that is really like staying focused. I mean, going straight and staying in school until you complete the coursework there with maxillofacial, and then finding other areas where you felt you needed to be. And now it's starting your own practice with practice inside of practice outside of practice. I don't know how you look at it.
I love it.
But I tell you, it is just wonderful to see how hard you're working and the dedication that you have to helping other dentists. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about the people that's coming in across the country, across the world.
Oh, yes.
To study with you.
Yes. So the course itself is, well, not only are we called International Implant Institute because Our faculty is from across the world. Dr. Anarobi is originally from Nigeria, practicing in Texas. Dr. Ganfilippo is a periodontist who's originally from Italy. Dr. Ibrahim Haroon is from Alexandria, Egypt. I'm from Philadelphia, so I represent USA. And the students come from around the world too. We've had 4 students from Nigeria, 1 student from Kenya, Texas, California, Atlanta, North Carolina, DC, Maryland. So we are just a mesh of people who are thoroughly involved with making the field of dentistry step into a new direction. General dentists should be placing implants. I just don't have any real good explanation why they're not. And so I would strongly encourage them to participate in our courses so that they can feel confident and at least know the fundamentals and the basics of how to implantology.
And how are you doing all of this, this creative work and keeping a business thriving?
Well, sometimes in the divine intervention, I give all glory to the Lord, honestly. I say thank you and I ask, what's my next step? And I keep moving. I have a very good, my father used to say, always talk to your resources, always talk to your lawyer, your accountant, your mother. Always talk to, people who have your best interests in mind. And more importantly, be centered and grounded and understand what your unique purpose is. My unique purpose, what can I do that's different than others? I think everyone could take teeth out, but I just have a little pizzazz about it, and it comes so naturally. I think to myself, well, why don't I teach someone how to do that? If I can do it, then I can teach someone how to do it, and that would only make them a stronger and more vibrant individual. So I think the reason that I'm able to do multiple things is because everything I'm doing, I love, I have passion about. So I'm happy. I find time. When you love it, you find it.
Absolutely. So you're actually doing the business side and the creative side.
Oh yeah. It's the one-man show. Well, it's a one-person show, but I have very good people who are contributing to making it productive. Dr. Anarobi comes in from Texas. Dr. Ganfilippo does Zoom for the courses. Dr. Ibrahim Haroon is present when we're doing the live surgeries. So we're working very well together. Each piece fits well. I'm the one who does more of the logistics. Let's make sure that the students have food. Let's make sure the students have a shuttle. Let's make sure we can go to the lab. Make sure we can get to DC. Make sure they have the accreditation because every student gets 40 CE. So I do try to make sure that things are smooth and relatively without any concerns or issues. I want the students to have the best experience.
Awesome. So how let's see, how challenging was it for you to actually get the accreditation for your organization? What was that like?
It's troublesome. I think it's the kind of thing where you just can't stop. You just can't stop. You have to get the stuff, get the papers, get the application, look at the parts. It's like a section A, B, C, D kind of application.
Almost like you and your dad sitting down taking some gadget apart, making sure this part's going to go here, this part's going there. Yeah, I follow.
Take your time, kind of like putting a puzzle together. Maybe you come back to it. You don't have to do everything in one setting. Make sure you think about it. Maybe you thought to yourself, you know what? I don't have to do section C because we didn't have I can't think of a good example, but just take your time, be steady and persistent, just like taking teeth out. Just don't quit. It's coming out. Tooth is on the table eventually. So take your time. Maybe you apply and now they find that you need some additional documentation for attendance, or they find that you need to identify how are you marketing. So they'll find some things and you just take it in grace. You cannot be defeated. Just like general dentists should not feel defeated if they can't place the implant. They should know that they can graft the socket for future implant placement. Just prepare for the next steps. Don't get stuck on the first steps. That's all I would say.
So speaking of not getting stuck, how do you prepare a general dentist to refer, go to the extreme, to whatever their maximum is before they come to you? How do you prepare them for that to make that so that it'll be a smooth transition for not only for everybody involved, obviously?
Well, this is called the podcast. So I have to say, the first thing to do is start talking about money, because dentistry is always going to be the path that leads them to wealth. So let's turn the path into something that can be productive. You don't want to be putting one stone down and one stone down when you start to realize that you can put one slab down or one slab down, and now you're making bigger steps so that you can pave your road. So I start by saying things like, okay, new general dentists who are just coming out, perhaps you have student loan debt. Invest in yourself and come to our course so that even the cost of our course will then get you to be able to do procedures that will be more profitable in the future. One procedure outside of our course will pay for the tuition. Or I'll say to them, hey, new associate dentist who seems to be kind of slow with getting fillings together, invest in yourself so that you can see, okay, well, if the associate dentist does let me take it, then I think we should graft the socket. So that there kind of increases the ability to be more efficient, effective, and to learn more, be more of an educated individual, and perhaps even be more profitable. So I just tell them to invest in themselves. That's all you can do. You put your money in your bank. Make your physical bank of education. Bank on education will get you where you want to go. I've been a student my whole life. Bank on education.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yes. So I obviously that kind of coincides with banking on you, because whatever field it is that you're dealing with, you're so enamored to it that ultimately it's going to make not only do what you want it to do, and eventually you're feeling you're somewhere in that happy place. You're in a happy space because
Definitely.
you're doing what you want to do. And of course, education is the key. I agree. So tell me this: what has been one of the most challenging cases you've encountered, and what did you learn from it?
That
Hello? Oh my goodness.
challenges there. Every day is an opportunity to figure it out. That's like saying, which gadget was it tricky to put back together? By the time you put it back together, you're on to the next gadget. I do appreciate that for oral and maxillofacial surgery, we have short-term relationships. I think when you discuss with new general dentists, because I also do interviews for new temple dental applicants. And so what I ask them are things like, well, are you the kind of person who wants to have long-term relationships? Or are you someone who wants to have short-term relationships? The patient, they'll see them every 6 months. They may meet the wife and the husband and the kids. Now we have a family community who's a staple. They can come back to routinely, versus an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. Quite frankly, after we take out the 4/3, I may never see that person again. I could see their cousin, I could see someone they refer to me, but it's more of a short-term relationship. We took the tooth out, we put an implant in, we grafted the site, let it heal, one more visit for the second stage, and then I might not see them again unless they need the services again. So I say that to say, when I'm speaking to the new students, I say, what kind of relationship do you want? Are you looking for steady and consistent? Are you steady and consistent? Well, then perhaps general dentistry is a good path, and we can, talk more about their qualifications to become a general dentist by going through the Temple University School of Dentistry curriculum.
Mm-hmm. So, so are you actually on the faculty of Temple?
No, I'm an alumni volunteer.
Oh, that is so great. So how many other volunteer, I'm missing something here. How many other volunteer programs that you involved in? Because I saw something else that
Yeah.
you support
Okay.
that's just
So
leaving
So
my
just recently, I
yeah,
volunteered at the Northern Virginia Dental Clinic. They had something called an extraction boot camp. It was for
extraction
some,
boot camp. Yeah.
it's part of the Northern Virginia Dental Society
Hmm.
membership,
Hmm.
and they wanted to show them effective ways of taking teeth out. Recently, I volunteered to participate in a humanitarian um, movement. It was a dental mission in Jamaica. That was
Oh,
November 4th, 5th, and 6th. It was a tumultuous time here in America because it was part of the election cycle. But believe me, it was a hurricane in Jamaica, and the wind was blowing, the water was pounding, and we were taking teeth out. So it
oh
was
my
it was a
God.
wonderful place to be at that time, to treat the people and to serve the community. So I do try to volunteer as much as I can. I'll be at the Northern Virginia Dental Clinic this coming up Monday.
Oh wow. Oh
Hmm.
wow. So that's the
Hmm.
constant. Yeah, I
Hmm.
noticed that you were doing a lot of volunteering work. So what do you see what do you see with your specialty coming up
Hmm.
down the line 5, 10 years from
Hmm.
now?
Hmm.
What do you think that's going to look like?
I do think there's going to be a transition between general dentists. I think that is a new frontier. General dentists should um, educate themselves to more surgical procedures. I don't think that they're going to be referring as many of the, let's just say, basic oral surgery procedures. Um, I think that hygienists should start thinking about being a business of their own. I think that if they could harness the education of how to maintain implants, I think that would really be something that they could capture and hold on to versus hygiene just simply being about teeth. I think if we got hygienists to say, we are a very important and significant part to the dental team, it should quite frankly be a procedure, a service provided. You know how they say we can do extractions, bone grafts, implants? It should say implant hygiene. That should be a service that people look for because more and more people are going to have dental implants.
That's true.
Um, I see the specialty and the profession of dentistry in general moving in great positions, great next steps. Um, I'm slightly concerned that we still haven't really flushed out what does the retired dentist or the soon to be retired or the transitioned dentist. We've put a lot of energy to the beginning of, okay, now get out and start, but we don't have very much planning for retirement. Like I always say, it's never too late never too early to plan for retirement. One of the things that I do is I have a study club called the First Ladies of Dentistry Study Club. It is a study club predominantly of women and women of color who either own their own business or an associate in an office. And a lot of them are saying things like, that a good transition step? Should I sell to a DSO? What does that mean? What are DSOs looking for? Should I just sell and walk away? Will I lose something if I just walk away? So I think that end goal isn't really flushed to be. So I try to give they know what to consider. Like, for instance, what does a good audit or practice consist of? How active you've been, and whether or not a DSO would even you. EBITDA. We do just have accountants and lawyers come to some of our First Ladies events to give the ladies more of a perspective of what to expect in the future.
Okay. How big is this group?
At this point, it's almost 45. It started with 3 or 5 dentists in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then we went to like 7, and then we got to 12, 18, 24. It really started off as some of my top referrals. And I was just trying to give back to them or give an opportunity to network. It was around. And Michelle was the first lady. So I said, why don't we be the first ladies of dentistry? Yeah. And I think that it was a very good move to start a foundation of strong and persistent women who are clearly entrepreneurs, who are won't take no for an answer kind of ladies, who are business savvy, and also who are clinically based. They certainly do appreciate peer-reviewed science. So they're really a good mix of people. That's how it started.
Oh, that's awesome. So while we're talking about business,
yes,
how do you manage the balance between quality and cost, and when it comes to purchasing?
All of my positions have been the kind that have been pertaining to the service provided. So I'm the kind of surgeon who comes in, does the surgery, and I then come home and handle my family. I like it like that. And it then kind of gives me another path, which I would like to talk with you, Mr. Powell.
Sure.
Investments properties.
Okay. That's a nice little twist.
Manage. So I never really wanted to own my own practice.
Okay.
I didn't want to be responsible of whether the light bulb went out, or if there was toilet paper in the bathroom, or if the front desk lady needed to take maternity leave. I have enough on my plate.
Okay, but that doesn't apply to all maxillofacial surgeons. Some have their brick and mortars, and they have their supplies and things of that nature. But you, and I've heard this from other people that's in like anesthesiology, for example, that will fly from here to there, and they don't necessarily have a space where they're having to do the kind of work that most people do in the offices. And
my program, I did eventually match up with my dad's tennis partner, and he owned his own business. He taught me the basics. He taught me how to do the marketing, how to do the insurance, how to do the billing, how to manage the office. He showed me all the ropes. I was an independent contractor at that point. So it's really good to have a mentor who really takes you under their wing and kind of sets the stage for you. He also did one thing that was absolutely unheard of. He gave me a percentage that was higher than his. Now, that did a lot going on. What that did, number one, is I saw how much money there was in this kind of business. So I was totally like, whoa, we get paid to take the teeth out. That's ridiculous, I mean, I was like, I couldn't believe it. So, and the other thing that did was it kind of gave me flexibility to make decisions about finances that I didn't, I wasn't struggling in the beginning. I was kind of offered an opportunity. Having a mentor that pulls you under, and also having one what gives you an opportunity where the percentage is higher than his, it showed me that he wasn't greedy. He wasn't trying to hold me back. As a matter of fact, he was practically pushing me out there, like, come on, you can do it. Fly, little birdie.
Okay.
Yeah, so
totally
it was
cool.
he is a dynamic and unbelievable individual. Dr. Scott, I still texting him, and sometimes he'll ask me, he'll say, what code do you put for when you put the membrane? I said, okay, at least he's working on different surgeries that he may not have been doing until I got there. So, we still have a very father-daughter relationship, and he paved the way. That was a big chunk. It was a little heartbreaking when 2013, after working there for 2 years, this nice gentleman that I knew from residency says, why don't we get married? I said, all right. He says, but you can't live in Philadelphia. You have to move. And I said, oh, what about Dr. Scott? What am I going to do? I'm here. We're here. He says, no, my husband's job was not going to be as productive in Philadelphia. So I did have to follow my heart. I would tell the ladies out there, stick to your path and focus on your future and follow your heart at the same time. So I did take a jump, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to leave this position of being an associate with Dr. Scott. And I moved back to Washington, D.C., and I got married. So sometimes you have to make big decisions. Dr. Scott paid for all the alcohol at the wedding. We partied like it was nobody's business.
Yeah, that was like right down the street. That wasn't too far from where you were, huh?
Philly to DC. You're right. Right. And now I'm out here in Virginia. So we got comfortable. I'm not at home.
Yeah. Well, hey, and obviously it paid off. You followed your heart, and your heart paid off. What can I say?
I tried.
So what have we missed? Can you tell us something that we missed about you? I mean, because you covered a lot so far, and I just want to make sure that and I'm definitely going to bring you on again, because we've had in and out kind of stuff going on with technology. I don't know what's going on. So, but tell us what we've missed and what you like. Some more information, good information you'd like to share.
Two things. The first thing I wanted to talk about is a portion of time in residency, where I'll just say the moral of the story is don't dismiss what's offered to you. There was a point in time when a colleague was offered the opportunity to go through residency, and she said no. And I know for sure that she's not an oral surgeon now. And I wasn't even offered the opportunity. So take every opportunity you're offered. Don't say no. Even if you don't really want it, you don't need it, you're not thinking about it. If it sounds like it's in line with where you're trying to go, just take it. You don't know how long you have to, but you should at least get yourself involved. That's the first one. The second one has to do with a property that I have in Florida. This was around COVID time, 2020, and there was a applicant who we knew worked in a restaurant. And with COVID, we knew that the restaurants were going to be shut down. And so that was kind of a questionable applicant, because were they going to have job security? Were they going to be able to pay the rent? I want to say to your listeners that sometimes you have to just take a chance. And not only did I take a chance taking that applicant because it just said worked in the restaurant, lo and behold, they owned the restaurant. And yes, they never did close the restaurant. And not just that, but they've been tenants for the last 4 years since 2020. So it was a good opportunity to have a long-term tenant. And I think that's something where if you do get involved with real estate, sometimes you have to take the chance. You might just get lucky.
Okay, so now I know you have some extra information about real estate for doctors in particular. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, was such a thing called a doctor's loan. A doctor's loan, if you're not a doctor, then you go through the mortgage loan officer, and they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. A doctor's loan is a specific kind of loan that doesn't evaluate your income. It does know that you have debt, if you have debt, but it looks at your income potential, because a lot of people who are coming out of the programs may not have a job, but they can say what the job is. And then there's some like a key that the loan officers will look over. Okay, well, you're going to be a veterinarian. You have the option. Oh, you're going to be an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. Sure, we'll give you a doctor's loan with a 10% down payment. So I want the students when it comes to having a mortgage, because sometimes those specials come in handy.
So you want the students to do what again? Because again, we cut out again.
I want the students to take their initiative to ask all the right questions when it comes to pursuing a mortgage loan. If I could just give a little bit of advice, what I did was I went to one loan officer and asked a whole bunch of questions and got all the vocabulary and said, thank you very much. And then I turned around another loan officer and I had vocabulary. I was like, oh, so how much is the down payment? Oh, is there going to need to be mortgage insurance? Oh, well, how much is going to be the amount that we're going to need for the principal versus interest, the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, so you get your vocabulary first, and then you apply it when you go to perhaps another loan officer or even another loan officer. It never hurts to hear it from more than one person.
Yes. Repetition is the best teacher, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
awesome. That's awesome. Wow. I for the sake of technology, or when it just breaks down, I have to bring you back. I have to,
Okay.
I have to bring you back. Can you do that? Can you do that for us?
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Because this thing just keeps breaking down, it keeps stopping, and I don't know what they're going to do when it comes to editing this. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming in and speaking with us.
My pleasure.
And I know you're busy, and I know you have a little something you need to do right now. So let's just look to do this again a month or so, or whenever you're ready. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Powell, for this opportunity.
Yeah, and how would people contact you, Dr. Jackson, if they wanted to pick your brain?
The easiest way is find me at extractionjackson.com. That's easy to remember. They can certainly find me on LinkedIn, Julia L. Jackson. They can find me at our website, IntLImplantinstitute.com. That's International Implant Institute. I'm easy to get along and get found. If you need me, you'll find me.
Okay. Well, thank you again, dear.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.